This time I can talk a little more, but it's just I got background noises, so I may mute again. Gotta see how I can do that from in here. I think I can pull up my desktop screen. Yeah, if I need to, I can. Actually, I might try that right now. There we go. Okay, I can turn that off. Now we're gonna hopefully also not crash. I really like this game. I wanted to talk a little more yesterday. Thank you, Noctis, our dog. But I really like this game still. It's got some, I don't know what you call it. You can tell stuff was, they had time to fix a bit of it, but that could be the gameplay. Like out of body experiences. Sometimes I'm glitching a bit here and there. That could be just the control between it. But hey, I still like this game. I like the first one. I might do a playthrough of it again because I like it too still. In that one, I actually never did find all the little data cubes. So I might come back and play that again. So I've got this. I wasn't planning on streaming anything during the week, but I really like this game and I kind of wanted to play it. And I mean, to the makers, go play this game because the interaction, I mean, you can grab a lot of stuff and do. Like here we are. See, and this is Liv, the captain. Now, in the first one, you had like a turbo pack that you pressed and did certain things with. You can grab onto surfaces, like, so here I'll grab this, like I did the last time. See, you can grab, ooh, I didn't do that before.
What are the odds?
Now, I was in here the last time.
What do you mean, Liv?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I grew up on a ship almost exactly like this one.
We didn't close that door behind us.
It was part of the Solar Colonial Initiative.
How long do you suppose it's been in service?
No idea.
I love that
We'll just have to
interaction.
find someone and ask.
Yeah, there's stuff that floats around. Yeah, you can see in the first playthrough part, yeah, her light to my light. Oh yeah, sometimes she'll bump
Attention.
me.
Atmospheric pressure normal. Oxygen
Yeah,
levels
you look
normal.
at things.
Well, that's promising.
Hello? Anyone here?
We've already proven that they're...
Nothing. I think it's just us, Jack. Well, let's have a look, shall we?
It's a bit worn down, but it appears we are on the Argos.
Come on. Usually you interact.
It reads 2124. This ship was only 2 years old when we left.
So why do they still have it around? See, I've got questions about this. Supposedly we're 400 years into the future.
There are a multitude of emblems, presumably from previous missions.
I don't think this ship was ever decommissioned.
Most of the time ships are...
These cargo containers are designated for terraforming equipment.
Probably used to store spare parts for Atmo processors. Spent a lot of time around tech like this.
This appears to be an old travel poster. I wonder how many settlements this ship has visited.
I'd love if
Posters
there
like that
was
were hard
another
to miss
game
when I
like
was
this.
growing up. Just about every planet and colony had their own.
I love the
Seems to be in
interaction
pretty decent
talking
condition
between her
too,
and the
especially for
character
being
you're
4
playing.
centuries old.
I'd
Same thing
love
said for us.
this to be more... Nope, that's popcorn. It's actually got a designation.
Here's a way to the bridge.
Damn. The bridge door's unpowered.
Is there another way?
Pioneer-class ships like this have only one hatchway to the bridge. So no. We'll need to get resourceful.
More of these
Let's look
cranes.
around.
These are energy cranes too. See if you look. Get closer. I can.
The crude nature of this repair is a bit troubling.
Oh, I don't know. A bit of character never killed anyone.
What about loss of atmosphere?
All right. Fair point.
Posters, we've addressed that. More panels. Hey, what's back there? And that door is open.
Let's keep looking.
There is both an activation pod and a fabricator.
That's odd. With the bridge door unpowered, we'll need to try our luck in engineering. The reactor seems a sensible place to start.
I am standing also doing this. I love space type stuff like this, and doing this in VR. I wish they would do more where if I don't move, she comes through right behind me, pushes me through. That door is open. Yeah, here she comes now.
What in the... I know these Pioneer-class ships pretty well. But this equipment... I don't recognize any of it. And more importantly, what the hell is that?
Could this be a source of power?
There's like some spin drive. They twist up and then it's kind of like a, I don't know how to describe it.
I'm betting
one
it's
of the
the
books I
reactor.
read with
Given its size and location, it seems likely, but I'm entirely unfamiliar with this design.
As am I. I
yeah,
say we
just
turn it on and find out.
you
If it works, the ship should start generating its own power again.
Which would give us stable life support.
Exactly. I'll see if there's a way to turn it on directly. Do you want to give the room a once-over in case there's an external control?
Going here.
The wires feed into some sort of switch.
Okay, well, give it a try. It could be linked to the reactor. Oh, Jack! That console just came on. What did you do?
Also, this one doesn't seem to respond as quick. Let's see, there's a handle here too. Yeah, you can actually physically. Fortunately, it knocks you around, so you gotta be careful.
Ah, here we go. Unfortunately, not controls for the reactor. It's a console for a cargo lift. I'll try lowering it. See if it leads to something useful. Whoa, wait a minute.
Warning. Biomass threat detected. Containment protocols engaged.
Wait,
Jack, come look at this. These canisters are holding ticks in some sort of stasis.
There is a device on top.
Oh, right. It's emitting some sort of energy field.
Could the field be keeping them docile?
I think you're right. Look, they have no idea we're here.
Juno,
What the hell?
do you copy?
Who was... Jack, you can hear that, right? I've not gone
shit.
daft.
It would appear Juno is not alone after all.
Juno, respond. What's happening over there?
This is Captain Olivia Rhodes. Who are you?
Olivia Rhodes. What are you doing on my ship?
Your ship?
Yes, my ship. What are you doing out of the habitat?
We lost power. Juno brought us here to try and get life support.
Never mind. Just stay where you are. I'll be there as soon as I finish
I
rebooting
don't want to stay in here.
Harlan, out.
Wait,
I can't see chat, so forgive me if I can't
Jack,
see. I have to go.
If he
Always
reboots
let
the
me-
power grid, what would that mean for these containment canisters?
Yeah, I see it.
If they lose
Sorry,
power,
I can't see the screen. so I have
maybe
to
we
sit
should
look
find
over.
out from farther away. Nothing wrong with being a bit cautious.
Yeah, that ain't
Containment
working.
protocols engaged.
No, damn it!
Because of that? Can we put it
Locked
back?
in.
Wait, can we put this crap back? I want to be in here with it.
We can remove the biomass by raising the lift.
Right. I've got the lift controls. Get me power again. I'll start the lift as soon as the console's active.
Whee!
got it. Sending lift now.
I mean, normally.
Come on,
we-
come on, come on.
Oh my god,
Power
this thing's
cycle
slow.
initiated.
No! We're not gonna make it.
Auxiliary power initializing.
Shit!
Put in here.
Shit! Shit! Jack! It's locked!
Lift.
God! Jack! They're everywhere!
Reaction core controls initialized.
Oh, now it's gonna initialize?
Dual conduit connected. Dual conduit connected.
Should have tracked that big motherfucker.
Reaction
What are you
core
doing?
prime
Yeah, fuck
and
yeah.
ready for unit.
Fine.
Thanks, Jack. That
Now,
was...
can you get out?
that was too close.
Of course, Liv.
Jack? You're glitching.
MTL engaged.
Liv.
What's happening?
Oh god, I'm blind. Okay. I'm blind. Oh shit. Okay, I wanted to be in space, but this is a little much. There we go, now I can kind of read the screen.
Athena, report.
Sensors reading unidentified spatial anomaly in this sector.
Cross-check Atlas database for similar phenomena.
Acknowledged. No records found. Recommend mission abort.
Negative. Maintain course. The Kronos 2 remains priority.
Acknowledge. Delta Actual.
13.
Whoa, whoa.
Delta 13. You appear to be in distress.
Who is Delta 13?
I will take your response as confirmation.
Delta 6, is there a problem?
I suppose that depends, Actual. Does Delta 13 often forget their own designation?
Athena, 13 appears to be malfunctioning. Please advise.
I am in
Possible EM interference from the anomaly. Warning. Electromagnetic event detected.
red skin.
That was interference from the anomaly.
Affirmative. Recommend all units perform cursory systems check.
Proceed.
This is different.
Units, please verify your operational status. Delta Actual.
Online.
Delta 9.
Online.
Delta 6.
Online?
Delta 13.
Online.
Confirmed. Delta 13 appears to have recovered. The results may be temporary. Recommend monitoring unit for further malfunctions.
Acknowledged. Delta 6. Delta 13 is your responsibility until further notice.
Oh, great.
Acknowledged. Engaging chaperone protocol. Delta 13, please confirm.
Confirmed.
Go
Excellent.
along with it.
Command hierarchy verified.
Be advised, approaching Kronos 2 mining facility. Distance 4,800
Yeah, that's my
meters.
designation at work, sweeper.
Did she say we are approaching the Kronos 2?
Affirmative. The station went dark several days ago. We're here to determine why.
Only days ago. Then the current year is 2126.
Correct. Though, if you are experiencing temporal uncertainty or
I was from the
internal
first
clock
one, so we're going
discontinuity,
back to the past
you
to
may
see
need to
that.
reset. Perhaps a clean
Probably
slate protocol.
totally screwed by the image. I'm not even paying attention.
No, you don't understand. My name is Jack. I'm from the future. Or, rather, I'm from the present, but I traveled to the future, and now I'm back. But I don't know how I got here, or why I'm in this shell. Do you understand?
I
Ting, ting, ting.
don't believe there is a protocol for that.
Yeah, you're fucking nuts.
Delta Actual, short-range communications have
Actually,
intercepted
I'm
a
in the past,
pre-recorded
but the
distress
future
call
I
from
was
the
sucked
Kronos
into
2
in the first
captain.
one. Oh, spoilers!
Plane Command, if you're out there, this is Captain Olivia Rhodes. Kronos 2 is lost. Say again, my station has been compromised. We were hit by a debris storm caused by the arrival of an unknown vessel in our sector. Damage is catastrophic.
Message repeats.
Fascinating.
Proximity alert. Sensors detecting unknown devices in the area.
Isolate and enhance.
I'm trying to figure out, we drilling through them, or are we flying? Totally not that one.
Identify.
No matching records. The design suggests
Oh, shit, I know what those are.
weaponization, threat
No,
assessment,
stay with
and
me.
determined.
Are there other ships in the area?
Scanning. The SCI Indica and accompanying fleet are on course to pass within 47 kilometers of this location.
That's too close. We need to establish a warning beacon. No civilian vessel should. Athena, report.
Warning, electromagnetic event imminent.
That was unconventional.
It only gets worse.
Recommend maintaining a minimum safe distance from the anomaly.
My phone is major indicator.
Begin deceleration for deployment. Prioritize threat assessment.
Initiating emergency deceleration. Vectorate to nearest device. Deceleration complete. Be advised, the nearest device is directly off the port bow.
Understood. Delta 9, take point with me. Deploy recon sats.
Okay.
Affirmative.
I want to get
Beginning
out.
assessment. Secondary objective, establish a warning beacon.
Can I just grab the emergency in?
Remaining Delta units deploy now.
Oh,
Delta
fine.
13.
Okay,
Recon Sat 3 indicates the device may be a form of torpedo. Moving to secure.
Let's get moving.
Biological agents detected.
I guess I'll go first then.
Warning, third electromagnetic event imminent. Anomaly pulse detected.
All units brace for impact.
Oh, that's fun. Whee. Back here again. Hey, look, body. It's that droid body, so it's actually probably one of mine.
Jack!
Yeah, I know.
Jack! It's okay. It's me. It's Liv.
Okay,
Liv.
how the hell did
Jack,
popcorn?
you're
This one's
alright.
called popcorn.
I think so.
Oh, thank God. You've been out for quite a while now. The blast from the FDL must have scrambled your reboot protocols. I pulled your memory archive while you were out. Your logs are flooded with all this bizarre data. Delta Squad, bio-torpedoes, something called the Ithaca. Jack, what is all this? What's going on?
Well,
Liv, I saw the Kronos. I saw our old station.
Come again?
I was on a ship, a shuttle. There were other Echo units, a military detachment sent to investigate what happened to the Kronos.
Okay. Maybe you're not so alright up.
Whee! Sorry about that. Okay, back in.
Called that one a little too early.
Oh
It's
my
not a
God,
malfunction. I was there. I was home.
Okay,
No, she thinks
I believe
I'm
you.
nuts.
listen, there's
That's right. She's been through this.
There's something you need to know. While you were out, I had a chance to meet with the captain of this ship.
The man we heard over the comms?
His name is Dr. Harlan. He said... He told me...
Liv, what is it? What's wrong?
You know what? It's probably better if you just see it for yourself. We can get a closer look at your memory archive while we're at it. Come on, follow me.
Oh shit, I never liked this crap.
Cycling the ship's powers are disable the insulation feed, allowing the ticks to escape.
Listen, this Dr. Harlan isn't what you might call the cheeriest of souls. He might take some getting used to.
Oh, great.
Do you know, I have Jack. Can you let us up?
I did warn you the station's generator was temperamental.
And how much longer can the ship operate on emergency power?
Maintaining our current energy draw? A few hours.
A few hours.
Dr. Harlan?
Jack, you finally recovered. I was beginning to think the blast from the FTL had obliterated your neural matrix.
So, you're the android. The Echo unit.
So, you're Dr. Harlan.
Well done. Your powers of deductive reasoning are a wonder
Oh, he's
to
gonna be one
behold.
of those.
Dr. Harlan is my administrator.
You're the one who is keeping us confined in the hab.
I am. And before you ask, no. I'm not the least bit sorry for it. I did what I did for your own safety, if that wasn't painfully obvious by now, as well as to protect the integrity of my work.
And what sort of work do you do?
Tracking.
Dr. Harlan is a geneticist, specializing in the study of biomass forms.
Specifically the study of how to eliminate
Yeah, high on
biomass
what
forms.
solder fumes?
Correct.
Dr. Harlan, I need you to show
That's the only
Jack
kind of
what you
windows
showed
just
me.
to see the
I have work to do.
street.
He's your android. You explain it to him.
He needs to see it.
Captain, perhaps I can be of some assistance.
Okay.
Are you certain you want to see this again, Captain?
Just pull it up.
Very well.
Kronos.
What exactly am I looking at?
The future.
Planets.
All this orange you're seeing on the map? That's all biomass. That's how far it's spread.
To date, the infection has consumed approximately 56% of the habitable solar system.
37.
Including Earth.
How did all this happen?
It starts with us.
With us?
With the destruction of the Kronos,
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. You guys said this
7 October,
future
21,
something screw or
26.
something. Yeah, that.
Your station, the Kronos 2, is almost completely destroyed when an unknown vessel suddenly appears in your sector.
Yeah, with the shit on board.
The Estrella.
Correct.
When the Estrella traveled back to our time, it brought the biomass with it. And when we left,
Okay, that was
The infection stayed behind.
Are we starting to see where this is going?
Oh, thanks, Captain Obvious.
In the days following the incident, a fleet of Atlas survey ships unknowingly passed through the infected zone. Most of the fleet's crew complement is consumed by the biomass. The infected fleet proceeds along its predetermined course toward Earth. One by one, the now crippled vessels collide with the planet's surface, unleashing a global infestation. Humanity has no defense.
Billions of people. Most of the planet. Just... gone.
The remnants of humankind are scattered across the solar
Dumb
system,
motherfuckers playing with shit.
but
in the
without
future.
any means to combat the spread of the biomass.
Alright, there's.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
All
time
those
paradox
people.
is not the word for
In
it.
truth, the initial death toll would likely have been higher had it not been for the captain of the Ithaca, who managed
Wait. The Ithaca?
The Ithaca was the flagship of the returning fleet.
Ithaca. I've seen that name before.
Hardly surprising.
I remember it as well. I heard it when I was in the past.
When you were what?
Ah, that's it. That's where I saw it. In your memory logs. I've got the data right here. Look. Jack, would you mind running us through what we're seeing here?
I recall overhearing the ship was expected to arrive in Saturn orbit within a few days.
Remember, I came out the door and I was looking
I
at this.
don't understand. For that to be true, these logs would have to be from 2126. A full 3 months before the Ithaca crashed on Earth.
That is correct.
Jack, are you suggesting that you traveled back in time?
I know how it sounds.
I'm not sure you do.
This is why your memory was so fragmented. In the control room.
Fragmented.
Because you...
It's just
You went back in time.
Not physically. Just my data. My consciousness. I believe the FTL accident may have briefly opened another temporal anomaly, disabling my shell and forcing my protocols to transfer to another echo unit.
400
Not really
years
an
in the
echo unit,
past.
because I was
Evidently.
Delta unit,
You
which was
believe
the
Jack's
military
account,
version of
Captain?
me.
It makes sense. A botched FTL jump is the whole reason we're in this mess to begin with.
It's the only explanation.
That is difficult to dispute.
Fry his ass.
Do you know you with us?
Oh, apologies, Captain. I was distracted.
Something wrong?
I'm not sure. Can we access this memory block?
Just a sec.
Just as I thought.
What are we looking at here?
Some form of biomass weapon. I first encountered them while searching for you on the Estrella, and then again just now, when I went to the past.
Dr. Harlan,
Not now.
As I recall, they tend to detonate when you get close, releasing a flood of biomass spores.
Feed him.
Oh, lovely.
Dr. Harlan,
Still not now.
Dr. Harlan, you should really take a look at this.
What part of not now do you not understand?
What? What is it?
The torpedo appears to be undetonated.
What's that supposed to mean?
Where did you pull this image from?
This is from one of Jack's recent memory logs.
Recent memory logs?
It's difficult to explain. It may or may not involve time travel.
I'm sorry, what?
We can parse out the details later. Right now, Doctor, you do realize what this could mean.
Solution.
Solution to what? Will someone please tell me what the hell's going on?
Right. Come with me.
Well, light bulb here has got an idea, and the other light bulb that keeps flickering in and out. Oh shit!
You're studying these weapons, these bio-torpedoes.
They're not weapons so much as incubators. Inside each one is a sampling of the biomass-based genetic material. The infection in its purest form. All you need to know is this. If I could manage to sequence this material, I am confident I could develop a means to eliminate the biomass.
You're saying a cure?
It's what I've been searching for. But every torpedo I've encountered has been detonated. I've never seen one with this payload still intact.
Same.
But I have.
If that's true, then you may have just found the key to saving what's left of humanity.
Dr. Harlan? I'm afraid we
You're
may
gonna
have
die.
more pressing
You're gonna
matters.
die. No.
Juno's right. The energy reserves are dipping into the red. I suggest we table this conversation until we find a way to restore the station's generator.
Perhaps there's something we can do.
Hey, popcorn. See?
Dr. Harlan, this is the part where you ask us for help.
How do we fix the generator?
Fixing the generator isn't the
This one
problem.
has personality.
The problem is getting to it.
P09.
The generator facility is not accessible from within the station. You need to approach from the exterior. Search the outer hull for a way inside.
With a few improvements, you should
can
have
play
no trouble at all.
outside.
Exactly what sort of improvements do you have in mind?
Nothing drastic. Just an entirely new shell.
I'm sorry.
Well, you can't go venturing out to the generator in that old relic. No offense intended, of course.
Of course.
Is this really necessary?
Transferring Jack to a newer shell will allow him to more easily interface with the station's various systems,
Well, you want to do it?
as well as drastically improve his ability to maneuver in open space. Not to mention,
All right. Fine. So long as there's not too much of a strain on our power reserves.
No, I'm gonna drain
This way,
him,
Jack.
asshole, just because of that.
I have already identified a shell design I believe you'll find satisfactory.
Although it was nicer in the first one.
It was originally meant for rapid emergency response. The base design includes enhanced speed and durability, as well as a data link compatible with the station's architecture.
Wait. Nope. Right there. Whee! Ding, ding, ding. Oh, shit. I didn't know she was here, too. Hi.
I've already uploaded the shell's blueprints. It'll only take a moment to complete fabrication.
This looks familiar.
I've already adjusted the shell's underlying design to account for the particulars of Jack's neural matrix. All you'll need to do is shut yourself down, so I can transfer your processes to the new shell.
Oh, that's all, is it?
Don't worry, Captain. The transfer will be seamless.
Oh, the other dude anyway. What do I need to do? What the hell? What do I need to do?
Construction complete.
Oh. Is this where I shut
The new
down?
shell is prepped for transfer.
Wow.
It looks like him.
Yes, I incorporated Jack's existing facial structure into the shell's design. I thought it might help distinguish him.
He is quite distinguished.
Jack, you're clear to initiate the shutdown procedure whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
Initialize neural matrix transfer. Verify hardware connection. Okay.
I mean, I'm controlled by moron.
Mapping core protocols to target. Success. Initialize boot sequence.
Jack? Jack, look at me.
shit.
You alright?
I'm sorry. Who is Jack?
Do you know what
Liv.
the...
I'm fine. I was only joking.
Oh, God, you had me worried.
The transfer worked just as Juno said. It was funny though, right?
Hilarious. Well, Jack, I'll say this. You certainly clean up nice.
Thank you. I must admit this shell's architecture is much more spacious than my previous one.
Just don't go forgetting where you came from.
Now that the transfer is complete, I'd suggest running calibrations to acclimate your software to the new
Oh
shell.
boy, here we go.
Actually, not a terrible idea.
Then it's settled. I'll queue up the appropriate modules.
Sit tight, Jack. We'll have you sorted quick enough.
Time to run the protocol. Look, I'm dead.
Module
This is
M201.
supposed to be the
Primary boosters.
I love this game. Okay.
Your EVA pack allows you to boost forward in the direction you're looking.
Sweet. How do I use things?
Use your boost to reach the console ahead.
Okay, but how do I use things? Oh, yeah.
Well done. Please press the hollow button to continue. Now boost to the end of the hall before the walls close in on you. Multiple boosts may be required.
Ow. I did that the first time.
Excellent. Calibration module complete.
Look, it's a ghost, Dave. A real ghost. No.
Module M116.
I
Braking
knew it.
thrusters.
This is how Destiny. I figured out what Destiny is.
This module will calibrate your braking thrusters, which allow you to stop in place without grabbing any surfaces. You will continue to slow down for as long as you hold your braking thrusters. We'll practice this in the room ahead. Please meet me there to continue.
I got my little thrusters, and then we go.
There are 2 target zones in this room. Please boost into one of the zones and hold your braking thrusters until you come to a full stop. Success! Now, use your braking thrusters to stop inside target zone A. Calibration module complete. Please stand by.
It's fun when you add sounds to it. We're in space, though. I think they're trying to remind me.
Module J101. Data interfaces.
Oh, does it
Your
mean I
new
get my
body is
thing?
capable of equipping multiple tools. In addition to your cutter, you now also have a data link. With it, you can interact with data ports around the station to activate objects or download information.
For objectives.
Tap the button under your wrist to open the tool selection interface. Now, grab and pull the data link icon with your other hand.
Oh, sweet.
Good. This tool allows you to interact with data ports throughout the station. You can also activate your cutter on your other hand, if you need to use both tools simultaneously. To proceed, move to the data port above the door ahead, and use your data link to activate it.
Can I hit it from back here? Nope, too far.
Well done. Please proceed to the room ahead. Some data ports will activate systems throughout the station. Others will allow you to retrieve useful information from the station systems. In this room, you can find a floating data tile and an observation drone. Scan their data ports to proceed. Calibration module complete. Please stand by.
That is actually very cool, but how do I deactivate it?
Welcome back to the real world, Jack.
Before you go, I'd like to make use of your new data link. Captain Rhodes?
Right.
What is this?
A data tile, left behind by one of the station's scientists. I'd like to see if your scanner can access the information stored inside. Ah, interesting.
What was on it?
Research notes on the biomass.
Anything useful?
A list of genetic markers shared between the different biomass forms. That could prove most useful. Jack, if you find any more devices with data ports like this one, be sure to scan them and transmit your findings to me.
Will do.
I've also added a new data tab to your ARM computer to track what we've recovered.
How much data was lost?
We don't actually have any way of knowing, but finding more will almost undoubtedly be beneficial towards developing a cure, even if only in a small way.
Understood.
Anything else, Juno?
Oh, okay.
That should be all for now.
Come on out then, Jack.
Juno, do you read?
Yes, Doctor?
I need you back here to help me pass the FTL's output data. And bring Captain
Because
Rhodes
I'm a
with you.
loser, is what he
I
is.
could use her insight as well.
We've nearly finished prepping Jack for departure.
He's still here? I could have built an entirely new generator by now. Get him out of the airlock and then get up here.
Fine, fuck
You
it.
weren't
Do
exaggerating.
your jobs.
This Dr. Harlan is quite irritable.
Try not to be too hard on him.
Yes.
He has good reason.
It sounds like there's something I should know.
Good people too.
Juno? Tell him.
Tell me what?
Dr. Harlan is infected.
Infected with what?
With the biomass, of course.
I don't understand. He seemed perfectly normal.
His infection is internal, a result of breathing in microparticles of the biomass. Though we have managed to slow the infection's progress using various treatments developed here at the facility, I fear the doctor may be approaching the final stages of his
Don't
infection.
give a shit.
What happens if he doesn't develop a cure in time?
I'm guessing that very question is what's making him so irritable.
Your suit's
I hope
nothing
this
more
might
advanced
help you
than this
better
dipshit.
understand why Dr. Harlan is the way he
Same
is.
damn suit.
His entire life, he's only ever had one goal. Eliminate the biomass. Preserve what's left of humanity. Thanks to you, for the first time in, well, quite a while, we appear to be making progress.
Whatever I can do to help.
You can start by
Well, if he's
restoring the
saying that,
generator.
I'm actually
Lead on.
going.
Cycling the airlock now.
Am I allowed to do it myself when I am capable? I like you a lot better than him. At least you're nice.
Ready to depart. Hard seal. Ready to cycle.
Wait a second, Juno. Jack, listen. There's something else.
Captain Rhodes, maybe now isn't the best time.
I'm not about to send him out there with only half the story.
Liv, what is it?
You remember on the Estrella, when you saved my life by repressurizing the bridge?
Liv, what are you saying?
The oxygen that flooded into the bridge was contaminated. Dr. Harlan's already run a test to confirm. The infection's in my system.
No.
Jack, listen to me. The contaminants
Okay,
were
now
microscopic. There
will
was
do
no
shit.
way you could have known.
No, I cleared the vents.
Yes, you did. And if you hadn't, I'd have been dead almost instantly.
Yeah.
This is my fault. I should have confirmed the air was safe.
No, checking for contaminants would have taken too long. I'd have suffocated.
Currently, the captain's infection is dormant. It takes time, often years, for the biomass to shut down the human body. What's more, her particular strain of the infection is less
That's
aggressive than Dr. Harlan's,
At least she's
perhaps due to her having acquired it in the past.
making him, like, get
The
shit
best
done.
thing we can do right now, the only thing, is help Dr. Harlan develop his cure. We do that, all our problems are solved.
Technically, not all of them. You'll still be stuck in the wrong time.
Yes. Thank you, Juno. Get to the generator. Stabilize the
See,
power
disappears
grid.
like a ghost, man.
Hopefully, by then, we'll have come up with an idea for what's next.
Liv, I promise. I will make this right.
Nothing to make right, Jack. This isn't your fault. Now off you go. Good luck.
Commencing depressurization.
And I get sucked up the airlock. I'm a robot, I can't live, right? Help me.
Depressurization complete.
Exiting airlock. How do I reach the generator?
The generator facility should be just up ahead as you exit.
Copy that.
I thought I was afraid of deep water. Whew. I played this in the other Lone Echo and it had a bit of the same issue.
I'll mark the destination for you.
Yeah, I
Juno,
know where the
pull the
goddamn thing is. I
FTL's
can see it.
output log, starting a few minutes
Okay.
back from the accident.
Whee!
What are you looking for?
If your android is right and the FTL accident really did create a temporal anomaly, then we should see clear evidence of the event in the output data. FTL drives don't normally rip open tunnels through time.
I don't believe being infected by biomass is normal either.
Wait. You're right. Juno, can you pull up the readings from right when the ticks attacked the drive?
Stand by.
This resonance. The FTL shouldn't be creating a displacement with this signature and nowhere near this magnitude.
You can see the crap.
Then
in here.
it's the biomass.
And that was
Has
the
to
piece
be.
of shit that brought
It's
it.
causing
This was-
some sort of reaction in the drive.
We'll need to run some simulations.
Let's
This
get to
thing
it
is
then.
system.
Jack, we'll be on standby.
Acknowledged.
They're kinda
I
like-
noticed these when we first arrived in this timeline. Some kind of massive processing structure. It's capturing Saturn's atmosphere.
Correct. They're known as autonomous atmospheric harvesters. They process hydrogen and helium from Saturn, inject it into containers, and then jettison those containers outward for retrieval. The minimal contact reduces the risk of biomass infection.
It's like the Kronos 5000 or something.
Sorry?
I mean, it might be what our job would have turned into. It's a bit more impressive than extracting helium from ice cubes like we did, but it's basically where our work was headed.
Vicinity of where Kronos was. So, I'm so confused. It's alright. My brain hurts.
Juno, this appears to be some sort of communication antenna.
A signal relay, to be exact. It's a key part of Chiron Station's intranet, as well as the external comms array. There are many more of them located throughout the station. Though, without the generator operational, we won't be able to bring them online.
Precisely. Now, stay focused.
Of course, Doctor. Jack, we can discuss these relays further once you've repaired the generator.
Copy that.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit what you say, dude.
This equipment is some form of dock or buoy?
Affirmative. It's one of the station's charging docks. They're set up to facilitate recharging and navigation for the various drones deployed here. Though it is worth noting that the Doctor and I have redeployed several pieces of equipment as well. Fortunately, once you complete repairs to the generator, we should be able to use the data ports on any of the equipment to restore its functionality.
Copy that.
Waste of space in this case. Just a tool. Whoa, loading. Oh boy, here we go.
I've located the entrance.
Unfortunately, it seems the airlock is offline, most likely due to the power failure. An alternate access method will be required.
Does that mean there's another way in?
Great.
Station blueprints show an access hatch on the facility's exterior. Look for a small rectangular hatch with a red cover.
Copy that. I'll take a look outside.
That's where we were. Yeah, we were there. The first one. Said red, right? Let's check this thing out. Hello, we're here. Whee! Hello. Oh, I float right past this. There we are.
Access hatch located. Looks like I'll have to cut my way in.
With the generator's interior in a vacuum state, it should be safe to use your cutter here. Explosive decompression will not be an issue.
Copy that.
I'm burning some stuff.
I'm inside the facility. What's next?
The main problem is almost certainly the reactor. It's a large cylindrical structure in the facility's central chamber. The accessway will take you there, though additional cutting may be required. But please, try to avoid damaging our former workplace too heavily.
Juno.
Wait, you two used to work here?
Juno and I were part of the station's biomass research team.
So you were here during the outbreak?
No, I had taken leave to pursue my theory for eliminating the biomass. By the time I returned, it was too late. There was no one left.
My God, Harlan.
Captain, please. We have work to do.
Yeah, something stinking there with what you just said. I don't like it. Come on. And then I grab this one and go bink.
Reactor located.
Great. How's it look?
Not well. I'm seeing smoke, likely from an internal malfunction.
That explains the power outage.
And the life support failure.
Right, better open it up, Jack. See what's going on in there.
Scan successful. Interesting. Shortly before the outbreak, the engineers developed a means of optimizing the power flow of the reactor. Jack, if you can find more data on this, I may be able to adapt these principles to your integrated cutter.
How much more data?
Uncertain.
Wait, I get
Without
upgrades?
possessing the actual data, it's impossible to measure its size. Nonetheless, I've made an entry in the data tab on your ARM computer. I anticipate only a few more scans will be required, though.
Acknowledged. I'll keep watch for more data ports.
Okay, so.
I'm opening the casing for a closer look at the reactor.
Copy that.
Malfunction confirmed. A bad reactor core.
You'll need replacements to get the reactor running again, Jack. The facility contains a storage area that might be worth investigating.
Thanks, Juno.
So, these things are shit.
The reactor has quite the unique shape. An icosahedron. For optimal power flow, I assume.
Correct. The reactor's quasi-regular orthogonality allows for nearly flawless energy management.
Good enough state to work, though, right?
Yes, the malfunction appears to be temporary. Install a complete set of operational cores, and the reactor should resume normal functionality.
Okay.
I see one there.
Well, sounds like you two have got things handled.
Copy that.
This way. This way, okay.
Now simply rotate the core clockwise until it stops turning.
The core is locked in.
Excellent.
Wait, is there more? Make sure. No. Huh. Can't move it. And it looks like...
This access hatch could provide a way into the storage area, but some of the bolts are outside my cutter's range.
We might be able to do something about that, actually. From the few logs I've been able to access, I believe the generator's staff were working on improving the reactor's efficiency. If we can recover data on their efforts, I may be able to adapt that technology to improve the range of your cutter. Look around for any equipment containing a data port.
Copy that, Juno.
Just hope I don't run into something. This data port here.
Empty racks here. Were they running low on supplies?
Negative. However, among the facility's final logs are inventory requests of unusually high quantities. I presume anyone who managed to escape the station must have brought the supplies with them.
Let's hope such was the case. Must have been a horrid scramble.
Nice work, Jack. Much of the data here will prove useful in augmenting your cutter. Unfortunately, we will need more to complete the design. But I did find something that might be of interest. A voice memo from the station's chief engineer regarding the technology. I've added it to your on-computer's data tab, Jack.
Yeah, it's not what I wanted. Time to go. That's the hatch I need to.
I'll probably have to cut my way through from the other side.
Okay. God, I'm a robot. That would really hurt. Whee. And okay, so I need to find more data ports. That little thing probably has something I use.
Juno, these pylons, what are they?
That's a signal conditioner, Jack. It helps ensure clean power delivery to the rest of the station. They should activate once you finish installing new cores and spin up the reactor.
Okay. Make sure I'm not missing. I might have to go back through. Level. Okay, whee! Just shook myself. That's fine. Let's do that again. Okay. So. Oh, wait a minute. I did not see that. I never saw this before. This is new. So you can see here.
Hey everyone, I wanted to send a quick update to just our team before the news goes wide. Jack, devices with the data port may contain data we can use to create your cutter improvement. Simply enable your data link tool, then scan the port.
We're seeing a stable 72% increase in outflow with a peak at almost 90%. For those keeping score, that's 12% above projections.
Okay, so there's...
Hell of a job, everyone. This will save lives.
I already scanned this. I mean, I can scan it again, but I don't think it's gonna do anything.
Some type of local data storage?
Correct. Insert enough of them into a database terminal, and the terminal's data port will become available to scan.
No. Look, it's RAM. Put these in the right order.
Good news, Jack. With the data you just collected, I expect we need only one more scan to complete the design.
Juno, I need you to run the math on these sim parameters.
Yes, Doctor.
Dr. Harlan, why did you have to leave the station? There seems to be plenty of biomass.
That is all highly evolved. I need the base genetic material, and that can only be found in an undetonated biomass torpedo. There was nothing more I could do from here.
Right. Then what brought you back? Did you know the station had...
I'm sorry, Captain Rhodes, but we do not have time for me to recount my entire life story. I was here. I left. And when I came back, everyone was dead or gone.
All right. Fine.
Why don't I simply compile an archive of the logs covering our time away from the station? That way the captain can review them at her leisure.
If you must, but after you've finished verifying the sim parameters.
Very well. I will let you know when I've finished, Captain.
Thanks, Juno.
This drone's power appears to be depleted.
There should be an induction charger nearby. Simply insert the drone to replenish its power. Once it finishes charging, we should be able to access its data port.
Sweetly! Space! I can think I'm sorry.
Excellent. That did indeed provide sufficient data. Just give me a moment to process everything. Stand by. Schematic complete. Please head to the nearest fabricator so we can install the improvement tier cutter.
Oh. Okay. Whee! Here we go again. Oh, I don't like that door. It's ominous. Alright. Wanna get in? Come in. What do you want me to do? Boop boop. I'm here. Oh, I hate these waypoints. Wait, already? No. Oh. Here it comes up. Yeah.
Integration successful. Your shell's reactive cutter has been refitted with extended range and efficiency.
Well done, Juno.
The pleasure was mine. And please, restrict cutting to non-critical equipment.
Where are you at? What a dick. Oops. Let's see. Actually. I'm gonna go back here real quick. I knew it. This is COVID. It's the new version of it. Kind of wanted to see what was up here. See what we got here.
A rather prominent location for a manual interface.
Those are the distribution controls, Jack. They'll eventually direct power to every facility in Chiron Station. The reactor will need to be activated before this console will work.
Acknowledged.
Oh boy. Yay, I got wireless controls. Whee! I was gonna say, we got a leak in here? That's the sunlight from outside. That's friggin' messed up. And me ole. Reactor cutter. Okay, do I have to go lower?
I've managed to open the hatch leading to the storage area.
Splendid. The area should now be accessible through the maintenance duct below.
Down I go.
Captain, I've finished compiling the log data you requested.
Great, can you pass it to my ARM computer, Juno? Actually, best send it to Jack as well.
Of course. Jack, I've added it to your data tab.
Wow, this is some archive.
It was an illuminating expedition. I took the liberty of segmenting the log entries. Feel free to review them at your own pace.
If you two have finished, I've input the parameters for the next sim.
Of course, Doctor. Seizing faster than light travel in 3, 2, 1. FTL jump complete. We're approximately 450,000 kilometers from Earth.
Perfect. Bring us in slow and begin long-range scans.
Of course, Doctor. For the scan criteria, shall I use the same parameters as those when we examined the Kronos remnants? Or perhaps from the wreckage of the unknown vessel?
Both. And factor in the fleet's travel time. Kronos incident. Plus 4 months.
I already have. Beginning sweep.
And now, we wait. There has to be at least one torpedo left. Somewhere in that mess.
So...
Analysis complete.
And?
Negative. Shall I broaden our search criteria?
No. Anything beyond these parameters will be too far removed from the base genetic material. Let's see. Most of the fleet fell to the surface. The Ithaca was of sufficient mass that perhaps it might...
Doctor, I cannot permit such an action. The biomass particulate levels in the atmosphere are extreme. Even if we were to safely make planetfall, we would not...
I know, Juno. Damn it. 14 months of searching.
Dr. Harlan, if I may...
Yes, I know. There's nothing to be gained here. Or anywhere.
Really?
Set a course back to the station. Perhaps...
Dr. Harlan, I merely wish to remind you that both the Kronos and the Ithaca had something in common.
No, they were both overrun by biomass. I am aware.
Yes, but both were property of the Atlas Corporation as well.
Give me a second.
I failed.
Energy reserves are still low, Jack.
Atlas has
When you're
not been
able,
defined.
please install a complete
Indeed.
set of
Shut up.
undamaged
However,
reactor
while
cores.
the company itself is no longer...
I'm gonna stop that for a second. Let me take a look. I can actually... That's on screen? Shit. Ah, here it is. There we go. Okay, I just looked at it and I just giggled. Let's see.
Juno, this...
That's good,
It's
Dave.
incredible.
It really is.
Coming here was an excellent idea.
Dr. Harlan, I must again insist that you return to the ship. Conditions here are not conducive to...
Oh, listen to this. The ship that destroyed the Kronos 2 was called the Astrea. It was an Atlas vessel from the future. Do you have any idea what this means? The implications are staggering.
Doctor, please. Now that you have established an uplink, I am quite capable of extracting these archives. I would much rather you peruse them from the safety of the Argos.
Yes, just another minute, Juno. Look here. They learned all this from a partially functional adjutant they found aboard the ship.
Partially functional does not suggest a high degree of credibility.
They ran metrics. Anyway, it seems once they linked it to a diagnostic terminal, it made rapid progress through the firewalls and exhaustively pored over the data stores.
How polite.
At which point it concluded that because the vessel, the Astrea, had been displaced in time, the activation of its auxiliary drive bay had partially reversed that
Jack,
displacement.
you'll be able to start up the unsure reactor
what that
again
means,
once you
Doctor.
install enough replacement
Yes.
cores.
It seems that several hours after the vessel arrived here, there was an enormous burst of energy. And then half the ship disappeared instantaneously, just as suddenly as it had arrived. And this adjutant concluded that...
Okay. Okay, he's bugging me.
Second core installed.
Acknowledged. Please visit one of the nearby consoles to bring the reactor back online.
The reactor is back online.
The power hasn't returned here on the ship yet.
Jack, power still needs to be distributed from here to the ship, as well as the rest of the station. The console you saw in the control room should now allow you to perform this final step.
Whee. Yay. Does this mean everything else, though, is going to...
Distribution complete. Power grid stabilized. Life support systems optimal.
Well done, Jack. We're getting full power here.
How is progress on your end?
Dr. Harlan's still running sims, but I think we at least have a working theory.
All the models we've run so far appear to confirm
Bye.
biomass interaction with active FTL triggers an abnormal buildup of energy within the drive, resulting in the formation of a temporal anomaly.
For reasons we still don't fully understand.
It is also unclear why the accident only caused the android's software to travel through time, as opposed to the more physical time jumps we've observed with the Astrea. But at this point, I'm willing to accept these ambiguities and proceed.
Wait, what exactly are you saying?
We must try it again.
What, send Jack back in time again? You've got to be kidding me.
It's the only way. Any chance we have of eliminating the biomass lies with finding an undetonated torpedo. We must send the android back.
You talk like he's expendable.
Of course he is. All of us are. You've seen how it spreads. Eradicating the biomass is going to take everything we have, and then some.
Yeah, well, it's not just up to you, is it? Jack, what do you think?
Dangerous or not, the potential lives saved makes it worth trying.
That's an awfully big risk.
You would do the same were the roles reversed.
And you would probably try to talk me out of it too.
Would I succeed?
Alright.
Okay.
Fine. I'm in.
Nothing in here? So what's the point?
What do we need to do next?
We're going to have to recreate the circumstances of the time travel accident.
Oh, don't tell me.
We're going to need biomass. Contained biomass samples specifically. The research facility should serve our purposes nicely.
There is one other problem. The FTL accident depleted the drive's fuel cells, and we don't have the supplies to refill them.
Then our best bet for a fuel cell will be the remnants of the Astrea. However, exploring that area may be difficult. Pesky shipboard defense protocols somehow remain active. Something off with the AI, Juno says.
Could be just as dangerous as dealing with the biomass, really. Well, Jack, what's up first? Grab some creepy crawlies from the research facility, or dig up a fuel cell for the FTL drive?
I can see now that Chiron Station is quite expansive. I prefer to take a moment to get my bearings before getting started.
Good idea, Jack. Get a feel for what we're getting into.
Incidentally, there is likely a significant amount of data we can recover throughout the various facilities.
I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Juno.
So when Jack eventually returns with these volatile materials, where exactly do we plan to store them?
I believe I can convert elements of the refueling depot to suit our needs.
Need a hand?
Why, yes, Captain. Your assistance would be most appreciated.
Anything's better than just sitting here. Come on, Popcorn. Let's get ready to head out. Good luck out there. See you soon.
Charging dock. Okay.
Oh, you just activated a signal relay. You have 25 seconds to find another and activate it, if you wish to reconnect them.
Oh, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? Oh, no, no, no. I'm not doing
Jack,
this.
you're running out of time. 5, 4, 3, 2,
that's too much shit
1.
to deal with right now.
Linking sequence timed
Okay,
out.
that's sitting down there. Oh, whoa, hello. Okay, I'm gonna back away from that. I'd have to hit that from the other side then. Okay. Great. Well, it's floating out there. It's one of those balls. See if I can grab it. Oh no, you don't.
Some of the cargo here has become loose.
An unintended consequence of the Astraea's sudden arrival. Their contents are not hazardous, so we should be safe.
So, what do they contain?
Give me a moment to see if I can find a proper manifest. Jack, I'm reading a local ping from a nearby observation drone. Possibly a distress signal. Further inquiry may be warranted.
Damn it. I don't think so.
There's a fair bit of data here. It should prove useful in our efforts to develop a cure. Good find, Jack.
So that's those things. Okay, so they provide more data. All right, cool. Oh, these things are gonna annoy me. Okay. No. Where is it? Let's do this. Okay. Boop. No. Oh, that is irritating. I just need one waypoint. Like crap enough waypoints. I can't do nothing. Oh, hello. Cool. Another spawn. Okay. Alright, now if I remember right. Oop. Let's turn you this way. Then we're gonna whee. Keep where? Bring it back. Bring it back here somewhere. And then we're gonna go here. And then we're gonna go I'm looking around when I'm doing this. Come on, yeah, that's it. Get attracted to it. There you go. What the? What the hell? What? You seriously shitting me? Okay. Huh. Well, let's take a look around here. I love it when they put them way out there. Makes it so much more fun. Almost get the feeling he's running fast.
This device mounted on the surface of the asteroid. What purpose does it serve?
It's a thruster, part of the reaction control system for the facility. We use them to maintain orbit, station layout, and structural stress tolerances. Basically, they help keep everything in place.
I figured there had to be something like that set up. No way those thin tram lines are able to keep everything in place on their own.
Indeed, these thrusters are of such importance that they operate on their own independent power supply and network. Even in the event of a catastrophic failure of other systems, they're designed to keep working.
That's cool.
How the hell do you get by that? Unless there's an access port somewhere around this thing. But you know what? Let's just screw that right now. That's me playing around. Let's get over here. That's messed up. That looks nasty. I got a question. What is the biomass exactly? Whoops.
Approaching the Estrella now.
Finally.
Loading.
If any fuel cells are still intact, they'll probably be deeper within the wreckage. Unfortunately, everything beyond the bridge is steeped in radiation, and the ship's AI is just making matters worse.
The ship's AI? Do you mean Apollo?
Are you familiar?
Apollo was the ship's tactical AI. He was instrumental in helping us survive our first encounter with the biomass.
I just hope he's still online.
Considering my difficulties exploring here, he must be.
Then if we can make contact with Apollo, he can probably help us find the fuel cell we need.
Guess it's time to say hello to our old friend.
Roger that. Heading to the bridge.
I think that was just her talking. Okay.
A downed cargo drone. Some of your equipment, Dr. Harlan.
Correct. Incapacitated by the ship's AI, best I can tell.
Why would Apollo do that?
He did mention serving as a tactical AI. It's possible Apollo has activated some security measures around his ship.
Isn't that perfect?
Well, I'm sure you can convince him to help us out, Jack. We did before.
All this scaffolding. Dr. Harlan, were you attempting to repair the bridge?
I was stabilizing it so I could investigate. It would have become a salvage operation had the ship's AI not shut down all my equipment. With my equipment offline, the radiation there has made it impossible to work.
Not to worry, Dr. Harlan. Apollo will listen to us.
Yeah. So I can see how it's spread here. Oh, the freaking debris.
Power feeding from Chiron Station.
A way to keep the bridge online, so Dr. Harlan could investigate.
Wait, you're powering the bridge? Don't you think that could have...
Yes, Captain Rhodes. It seems in doing so that I inadvertently prompted the ship's AI to destroy my equipment. Juno was handling the cargo drone's navigation out there, so I assumed I could safely investigate the bridge. I didn't want to lose an opportunity to learn more. But perhaps this outcome was inevitable.
A bypass for the door controls, locked behind a keypad.
It was the only way I could gain access. The code is 2126.
I've gained access to the bridge.
I assume you have some type of plan.
Apollo's AI core would be an appropriate place to start. It was vital to his operation here.
Good point, Jack. If it's still intact, could be all we need to strike up a conversation.
You two are rather confident.
Apollo commissioned us as official crew members last time we met.
And we did part on good terms. I'm sure he'll do what he can to help.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
A casualty from Dr. Harlan's previous investigation.
It was just another shell lying around the station. We were trying to put it to good use.
I thought I could pilot it well enough, but apparently limb control is not my forte.
I'm expecting you'll fare better, Echo One. If this Apollo is indeed the ally you say he is.
An electrode for the defibrillator.
If you hadn't found that defib unit when you did.
That's right, we ended up here.
I should have been more careful.
Come on, Jack, stop it.
I should have checked the air for contaminants.
You know that would have taken too long. I'd have died on the table. And neither of us would be here now. You can't blame yourself for my infection. I certainly don't.
If the two of you are finished.
Right. Let's get back to it.
You know what, dude? Yeah, they got some interesting names for them. Such as, I'm a dork.
These induction panels were essential to my survival on the Estrella. However, they no longer appear to be in an operable state, much like the rest of the ship.
Apollo's AI core probably just needs to be plugged back in, Jack. Let's see if we can get him kicking.
Over the other way. Nope.
Unknown user detected. Bridge access is restricted to crew members only.
Wait, what?
Initializing threat suppression protocol.
Apollo, search your memory for my identifier, Echo 1.
User not found.
Try Jack.
Memory query. Successful. User entry found.
Thank you.
Jack. Welcome back to the Estrella. It is good to see you.
Thank you, Apollo. It is good to see you as well.
Is Captain Rhodes with you? And well, I hope.
Cheers, Apollo. We missed you.
Likewise, Captain. Jack, your appearance is altered. I almost did not recognize you. I must apologize for the alarms.
Your reasoning was sound.
What brings you back to the Estrella?
We need an FTL fuel cell, Apollo. But we believe you've been disabling Dr. Harlan's salvaging equipment. We'll need it back online to deal with the radiation here.
Preserving this vessel is my primary directive. The last time jump virtually destroyed it. No further attempts to remove or misuse equipment can be permitted.
Lives depend on it, Apollo.
I understand, Captain, but I cannot allow any further material from this vessel to be compromised.
Apollo, Liv is infected with the biomass, and your directive is protecting this ship's crew and its critical assets.
Forgive me, Jack. I failed to follow your reasoning.
You yourself commissioned Liv, a fellow Atlas employee, as acting captain after the deaths of your original crew. You must remember.
Confirmed. Though I had not considered her status in such terms. Captain Rhodes is truly infected.
She needs your help.
Very well. As the Estrella's tactical adjunct, my primary directive is to protect its crew.
So you will help them?
Affirmative. I am hereby available to assist you in obtaining a fuel cell.
Lovely.
Great.
That's settled.
Apollo, are you able to detect any fuel cells that are still operational?
Just became how
My sensor network has been severely damaged. However, any functional fuel cells on the Estrella would be in the auxiliary drive bay. It can be seen through the window far ahead of the bridge.
What did he say?
It is approximately 400 meters from here.
Seems easy enough to reach.
And it would be if this AI hadn't disabled the equipment I set up to counter the radiation.
A temporary security measure. Your equipment is now re-enabled.
You better not have damaged any of it.
Normal operations should resume now. Jack can verify this.
Oh dear. Incoming.
What the hell is that?
A cargo drone. Apparently no longer capable of flight.
Apologies. My anti-theft protocols are quite aggressive.
Fortunately, our salvaging equipment appears to still have working radiation dampeners, meaning Jack should now have a safe route to the drive bay.
That's
I love
good
that.
news.
I don't know if you can see that.
A number of problems remain. Accessing the fuel cells, for one. Doing so will require that I have direct control of the systems within the drive bay. You must bring me along with you.
Are you seriously going to integrate with
We
this
have
whole
way too
AI?
much fun with this glitchy.
Without Apollo, we wouldn't have lasted this long. We can trust him.
Jack, I'll walk you through the process of downloading my imprint to your cortex.
I'm ready, Apollo.
Simply insert my AI core into the lower receptacle, then use your data link on the override slot. I will do the rest. Disconnecting from mainframe now.
I was catching the Pokemon.
Download complete. Only one final issue remains, Jack. Your arms are too short.
Too short?
The FTL technology is highly sensitive. Accessing the drive bay and the fuel cells within will require multiple operators.
Good thing there's two of us then.
Unfortunately, the debris field is far too irradiated to accommodate Captain Rhodes.
Hang on.
You're saying...
Whee! Okay. There we go. I'm back. Sort of. Here's my menu. That's my menu. So I gotta...
Jack's the best chance we've got, but even he won't be enough.
I might be able to help, actually. The cargo drones employ stasis technology, which enables them to manipulate objects at a distance.
Like the stasis projectors we used to levitate the tram back in the hab.
Exactly. I believe I can incorporate the drone stasis tech into your shell, Jack. I'll just need more data from them to be sure.
The drone that just hit the bridge is unlikely to put up much resistance. I'll start there.
Whenever you're ready, Jack.
I'm heading out.
Let's see. Let me switch a few things.
Jack, to stay protected from radiation out there, you'll need to activate radiation dampeners with your data link. They can be found on both charging docks and cargo drones. Shields at 95%.
Radiation dampener activated.
Hypothesis confirmed. With sufficient data, I'll be able to construct a tool for extending your reach, Jack.
Does this tool have a name, Juno?
Well, it will essentially project your grip across space, so I suppose...
It's a grip projector. Let's move on.
More data will be needed.
There'll be plenty on the way to the drive bay. You know what to look for.
Affirmative. Inoperable cargo drones, but with functioning data ports. Heading to the drive bay.
Please remember the charging docks have radiation dampeners as well, Jack. They'll help keep you safe out there.
Thank you, Juno.
At least a small amount of that data is relevant to the biomass. We can use it in our development of a cure. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%.
Echo 1, those charging docks won't have the data Juno needs to design your new tool, but they will restore your power. Hold your hands near the induction panel, and it will recharge your shielding.
Hold on. I wanted to ask.
Yes, Captain.
Well, you probably figured this out already, but... You know this isn't your time, right? This isn't the future you came from.
Affirmative. When we first arrived, I was able to accurately calculate the astronomical year. However, I lacked sufficient data to determine that the course of history had been altered. I apologize for having misinformed you. The fact that half of the Estrella was left in your time and led to system-wide decimation of the human race is clear evidence of a tactical oversight on my part.
Charging dock restored to operational status. You may recharge your shield as needed. Though, interesting. I believe I may have found a secondary use for restoring these docks, recovering their local data, specifically because the docks normally maintain a coordination and optimization network. They contain shared data from across the station. Prior to the generator going offline, the units in irradiated areas were sharing optimizations that I believe could still be used to improve your multispectral shielding, Jack. Apollo, I believe I may be able to extend Jack's reach by about 4 meters. I hope that will be far enough.
Affirmative.
Just a few more scans should suffice, Jack. The stasis projection technology will be simpler to adapt than previously anticipated. If you scan one more cargo drone, I believe I will have enough data to complete your new tool. Jack, I'm detecting extreme radiation nearby. If you can pinpoint the source, I advise staying clear.
Hell of a lot of radiation out there. Guess it's coming from the Estrella.
Hazard identified. An active warhead from the Estrella.
Once your grid projector is installed, removal of dangerous objects like this will be possible. Until then, maintaining a prudent distance is advisable. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Archives recovered. I'm quite confident now that with more optimization data, I can significantly improve your multispectral shielding's resistance to radiation.
I am curious, Juno. Why is my shielding not already optimized? Neither my shell nor the charging docks are experimental technologies, correct?
That is true. I believe the lack of optimization stems from 2 related factors. Firstly, there has not been a significant need for such optimization. The current shielding configuration has been more than adequate for typical X3 mission profiles. Secondly, practical testing scenarios for data collection have not presented themselves until quite recently.
You are referring to the Estrella?
Indeed. Only after its arrival, and the Doctor's subsequent attempts at salvage operations in its vicinity, have the docks had sufficient exposure to generate meaningful findings. Fortunately, now that you are using an X3 shell, it's become apparent that those findings can be put to additional use.
Dr. Harlan,
How's it
what
looking
is
out
your
there, Jack?
purpose in attempting to salvage the
Manageable.
Strand?
How are your preparations
The odds
going?
of my ship's
Quite well,
components
actually.
being compatible
Just doing
with
some light
yours
welding
seems
outside the ship.
unlikely.
Juno's
wasn't
helping me get the
hardware I
intake
was
systems
after.
ready for the materials
Your ship
gathering.
was the original
Are
source
you
of
sure
this
you should be exerting
I'd
yourself,
hoped to
given
find
your
an
current condition?
undetonated biomass torpedo amongst the wreckage.
Infection's still
Use it
dormant,
to develop a
remember?
cure for all.
Assuming its status hasn't changed.
I understand, Doctor.
Apollo, your defensive measures are quite capable.
Given that my primary function is advanced tactics, I consider my response to have been admirably restrained.
Not to interrupt your self-congratulations, but going forward, is there anything else I should know about your countermeasures in regards to my vessel?
Careful, Jack. There's another form of the biomass nearby. You may have seen them before. Elongated structures with an affinity for spore dispersion.
Indeed, cysts. Their rapid regrowth, even after bursting, makes them particularly dangerous. Maintaining a safe distance is usually the best course of action.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Tool schematics complete. Please visit a fabricator to install your new tool jack. Most charging docks will have one nearby. Shields at 30%. Grip projector installed. To use your grip projector, simply point at a target. Activate the projector and direct it with your hand. Any sufficiently small piece of debris would be ideal to experiment on.
If your new tool works as intended, Jack, you should be able to access the fuel cells now.
Good. Heading to the drive bay. I'm coming up on the drive bay now.
Warheads nearby, Jack. Please be mindful of their extreme radiation levels.
You won't be able to handle them directly, Jack. Maybe your new tool could help.
Shields at 50%.
Warheads removed. Entry into the drive bay is now clear.
Copy that. Standing by.
A spent biomass torpedo.
Just like every other that was left behind here. Useless for my research, unfortunately. As soon as one detonates, accessing its incubator is no longer tenable.
Apollo, is this the only way into the drive bay?
I'm afraid that's correct, Jack. The fuel cells are stable, but the same cannot be said of their contents. As a result, access is tightly restricted. The door can be opened, however, by using the nearby controls.
I've gained access to the drive bay.
Wait, those pillars at the center, are those...
The Astrea's FTL drives, yes.
Do they still work?
Theoretically, but unfortunately they're of little use to us. With such a high concentration of biomass forms in this area, any attempt to remove one of the drives would prove futile.
Dr. Harlan, I'm noticing these ticks appear to be less evolved than those we've previously encountered.
Must have carried over from the last time jump. No doubt just as dangerous. I advise avoidance at all costs.
Jack, my monitoring systems are offline here. You'll need to manually inspect each fuel cell in order to determine its viability. Simply scan their data ports to get started.
Do we know what the biomass does specifically to an FTL drive to trigger a time jump?
I have a few theories.
As do I.
And I'm sure they're all equally preposterous.
The drive assembly looks remarkably like Dr. Harlan's FTL, if only a bit larger.
As I understand it, our drives were reverse engineered from the ones left behind on the Astrea 400 years ago.
Apollo, what are the chances that any of these fuel cells are still full?
The fuel cells were not designed for time travel, so unfortunately the odds of viability are incalculable. Scanning all their data ports will answer your query, however.
Fuel cell located.
Use the data port and I'll expose the cell for visual inspection.
Empty. I'll have to keep looking.
Jack, the data ports you need to access are located on the storage units running along the rooms.
The units may be covered in biomass, but the ticks seem to prefer the center of the room.
Exposing fuel cell for your inspection, Jack.
Another empty cell.
Apollo, you're sure there's a good fuel cell there?
I never said I was sure, Captain Rhodes. It's simply the most likely location on my ship to contain a viable fuel cell, if any were remaining.
Right. If any were remaining.
Exposing fuel cell for your inspection, Jack.
This does not look good. These cells are all empty.
Accessing fuel cell.
Viable fuel cell located. Hopefully enough to power Dr. Harlan's FTL drive.
Nicely done, Jack. I'm sending a drone your way.
Send 2.
What for? There's only one fuel cell.
Just trust me. Send 2.
Warning, lead drone compromised.
Jack, what's going on?
The ticks swarmed the lead cargo drone.
And that is why you send 2.
I don't think we'll be using that one again.
Backup drone malfunctioning.
More ticks. The lead drone is disabled, but the backup still has a chance.
Pesky bastards, aren't they?
I'll clear them off. Cargo drone cleared.
Acknowledged. Thank you, Jack. Resuming flight. Analyzing. It appears optimizations were being tested on this cargo drone's maneuvering thrusters. Assuming other drones were testing similar optimizations, scanning their data ports should allow me to reverse engineer the concept and apply it to your own maneuvering thrusters, making them more energy efficient.
Copy that. I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. I'll add a tracker to your data tab. Drone is in place to collect the cargo.
Jack, I've activated the release controls on the fuel cell.
Fuel cell released.
Cargo secured. Ready for departure.
Excellent. The fuel cell still needs to be latched into place once it arrives, Jack. The honor's all yours, if you'd like.
I'll take care of it, Liv. I'd prefer to see the job through to the end anyway.
Okay, great. We'll see you in a bit.
Cargo drone returning in T-minus 10 seconds.
Better grab on or stay clear, Jack.
If you wish to return now, I advise taking hold of the drone. Cargo drone departing in 3, 2, 1. Firing thrusters.
The fuel cell is clear of the drive bay.
Great. We'll have some cargo clamps ready to receive it here. Surprised to see welders haven't changed all that much in 400 years.
That design is actually from a historical archive. It was the standard for most of the 23rd century. I'm afraid it's the closest approximation to a welder I could fabricate. I hope it's acceptable.
Perfectly adequate, Juno. Thank you.
Cargo inbound to destination. Decreasing speed for final descent.
Looking good, Cowboy Jack. Steady as she goes. Hookup controls are over near the cargo clamps.
Fuel cell in place and ready to be secured.
All you, Jack.
Fuel cell secured.
Copy that. I guess you'll be heading to the research facility then.
That is where we'll be able to acquire a contained biomass sample, correct?
Indeed. I'll provide further details once you're on site.
Copy that.
Stores on this drone include the maneuvering thruster optimizations as well. Find more if you can, Jack.
Copy that.